Next up, we have Derrick Broze.
Thank you. How you guys doing? Thank you for being here. My name is Derrick Broze. I'm 34 years old, I'm a lifelong Houstonian. I am running for mayor because I want to help expose the corruption that is rampant in our city.
Woo!
I've been campaigning since May, and since that time, it seems a lot more people are starting to wake up that there's corruption going on in Houston, not only in the mayor's office, but in the police department, in the financial sector, all over the city. I'm running because I've spent the last 10 years as a journalist and as an activist in this city, exposing the police department for using surveillance of cell phones, for monitoring of activists, for mismanaging of funds, as well as the current and previous administrations for various other issues. After experiencing that for the last 10 years, going to city council, confronting them as a journalist, and being shut down at every turn, I decided to enter the race and to use my experience in those areas, as well as a small business entrepreneur, to try to bring some common sense to this race. And truly what we're trying to do is to get the people of Houston to start talking about issues that matter, that I think as the fourth largest city we could be taking a much bigger footprint on. These issues include ending the drug war in Houston. I myself 15 years ago was addicted to drugs and went to prison at 20 years old, and that's what began my life transformation. Since that time, I've been dedicating myself to the community. But I know firsthand what it's like to get out of that system as a felon in the city of Houston, to struggle to find a job, to struggle to find somewhere to rent to. I know what it does to the individuals' lives as well as the lives of their family members. And while Houston has started this through a diversion program under the current DA, I want to completely decriminalize cannabis for recreational, medicinal purposes, as well as for industrial hemp farming purposes to help with flooding. We are bringing a lot of new ideas to the table to help pay for the firefighters and take care of some of the more typical local issues, but we're doing it in a way that doesn't involve taxing you, doesn't involve creating new bureaucracies, and can actually put Houston on the forefront to be the leader in a lot of new industries. My name is Derrick Broze, and I'm running for mayor. Thank you.
Next up, Derrick Broze.
All right, so main issue here, I think it's sort of parroting some of what has been said. There's flooding, there's concerns about crime, there's concerns about the police. I mentioned a couple other issues that people have brought to my attention, like the drug war, as well as just a number of infrastructure issues. But at the end of the day, I do think that Mr. Ujami has it correct that the mayor position is too strong. Unfortunately, I don't think he has the right solution. He's calling for a general city manager. We've seen that in places like Detroit and other cities where that person just turns into a dictator, just like the current mayor is. Because it is the position itself. It was the same position with Anise Parker. The council members can tell you that if they put something forward and the mayor is not interested, whether that mayor is a Busby, a Turner, or a Parker, if they don't like it, they can say no and they can stop it from going forward. That means your issues will be ignored. We need to decentralize the power of the mayor, give it back to the people so that your concerns are actually heard. That's the big problem that we're seeing. And yes, that tends to lead to corruption elsewhere, because if you know that you don't have to be beholden to the people, well then you do whatever you want. But it's not just a problem with Mr. Turner. It's a problem with any of the mayors coming in.
Thank you. Rose?
So the big problem, yes, again, is that the mayoral position is ignoring the will of the people. So they tell you you're going to pay a drainage fee and that's going to go towards helping out with the flooding. That doesn't happen. I mean, is there any wonder people are losing trust in politics and the mayor's office? The answer to this, of course, is to decentralize the mayor's power, as we already talked about. But also I have a plan that we're calling Hemp Houston. It's a 4-part plan that does involve one of the simplest steps we can take, cleaning up the bayou, actually cleaning up the bayou, removing the debris and the vehicles that are within the bayou, as well as working on the drainage, and as well as getting the right funds to go to the right places. But also we are working with local groups here to talk about bringing hemp and other native plants to plant along the bayou to help with flooding and erosion. And also we need to bring permaculture here. I am working with permaculture experts from around the world that are ready to come to Houston for us to design the city of the future, because we have to accept we live in an unsustainable area and it's only going to get worse if there's any indication that we can see the way the weather's going. So we need to prepare for that. Thank you.
Thank you. And last on this.
Really, for me, this just sounds like politics as usual. I don't know why there's so many jaws on the floor. This is what politicians do. They bring their buddies in and put them in positions that benefit them. They all make a little money and they move on to the next position and they tell you that they're representing you. But we all know it's a lie. So it's not really anything new. And I also don't think that being a politician and who you know should keep you in that office. I also don't think that being able to buy an office should really be a thing, but maybe that's a whole other conversation. I think that when we're talking about an area of corruption, I'd like to point you to another area that has to do with corruption. It threatens the environment, it threatens your privacy, it deals with local power, local control, and that is the issue of the 5G technology rollout that some of you may have heard about. There's an increasing amount of people who are questioning the safety of this technology, as well as, again, threats to privacy. The mayor last year was awarded the 5G Champion Award by the wireless industry, the telecom lobby. Months later, he announced a new deal with Verizon and with Microsoft to bring this technology to the city, and it's just another example of this type of system.
Thank you.
One of the main 9 points of my campaign that you'll find at derrickbroze.com is to defend and protect the freedom of speech and civil liberties for all Houstonians. That's LGBTQ, that's any community that we're going to be meeting with, that we've already met with this community, these communities as the campaign's going on. I personally was not, would not support the version of the HERO ordinance that went through before. And as I said before at the Pride Forum, I talked to the LGBTQ community directly and said that I did not support the ordinance. I would not support an ordinance necessarily, because I do think it's on us as individuals to be the ones to push for change. The civil rights movement, the Native Red Power movement, all these great civil rights changes came because the people pushed from the bottom up, not necessarily because they came to the government asking them to Band-Aid it for them. So I do think that the real change, we're going to change the culture, which is where it starts at. Because you can pass a law, you can pass an ordinance, and a bigot's still going to be a bigot. It's about us creating that community, coming together, and actually making the change one that's going to last, not just some ordinance that most people are going to ignore. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me say something about Derrick Broze. I admire this man. First off, he's open about his past, because none of us are perfect. We make mistakes, and we move on. And secondly, I'm really happy that he's in the race. Not only because we talk about some of the same things, but we have honest disagreement about other things. And what I'm hoping is because I know the folks that support him are very energized. Many of them are young, and we need more young folks involved in the democratic process, and specifically in the city of Houston race, because the things we're going to be doing over the next 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, those are the folks that are going to be impacted by that. So I appreciate you running and wish you all the luck.
Thank you, John.
What we're doing at derrickbroze.com, but really the main reason I'm doing this, the main thing I want to leave you guys with is that we have career politicians in the race, we have career politicians running the city already, and we have people who think they can buy the race, and that what matters most is how much money you have. I'm trying to do something different, and as others have noticed, we are building a movement, a grassroots movement that is growing among all Houstonians, definitely Houstonians, but Houstonians across the board who are sick of the same old thing that they've seen, who are sick of just watching people come into power and keep padding their pockets and keep bringing their buddies in office. I will use the skills that I've developed as a journalist over the last decade to continue exposing the corruption from within that position, helping you get the services that you want, helping move Houston forward in a way that actually respects the people and help amplify the voices of Houstonians. I ask again that you check out derrickbroze.com to find out more what we're about, and thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.